Good morning, YouTube, BookTube. This is Johnny. I thought I'd make a video. It's been a while, a couple days, and today is December the 4th, 2022. It is 10:15 in the morning. It's a Sunday morning here in West Michigan. I'm down in the lower level, which is where most of our books are. The library. As you'll know, in my last video I showed you the main study upstairs, showed you my wife's room, which used to be our daughter's bedroom. The lower level used to be where our two sons, Caleb and Josiah, when they were growing up, they had their bedroom down here. And but now they're going on, I think my oldest son is 41 and my other son is 40 and our daughter is 38, and they're all married and have kids and working and went to college, and they're doing fine. We're always in contact with them. My wife, she has this iPhone and she has FaceTime with all of them, the grandchildren and our son Josiah out in Washington, and his wife Hannah, and Marika and little Lilia, and then our daughter Bethany and her husband Andy and her 4 kids in Denver. And then, as you know, our oldest son Caleb lives down the street with his wife Emily and our little granddaughters Josie, Joy, and Cora, and their little dog Ollie. So yeah, I think we're a very close family. So yeah, my wife is renting a house in Denver this summer for a week for them to all gather together and for family time. Anyway, in this video, I don't think I'd done a used book haul in a while, and the reason why is I'm always waiting for books to come in the mail and they don't show up, and it's getting, the stack is building up. So I thought I'd show some used books. First of all, a while back, I don't know, maybe a couple months ago, a bunch of art books and stuff came into the Book Nook. As you all know, I volunteer at our local library used bookstore, the Book Nook. And some art books came in and some other art material. And I didn't show, I showed some of that stuff, but I didn't show you these. And one of the things I got back then was this Art in America. And I got this issue because it's on Dadaism. And I like Dada art, so I picked this one up. There are a lot of art magazines, but I didn't get them because my wife bought a lot of them for a friend of hers in church. But I got this one, Art in America, on Dada. And then these are the things that really I bought were Steltenkamp catalogs. These are when they had art auctions in Sotheby's, and they had on prints, and it's just all these prints that were being auctioned, art, and the catalogs are themselves just works of art, and I couldn't resist them. So I bought this one, and then I bought this one on Sotheby's, and this one's on prints, more prints, and I just love the art. I don't like that word love. The word love to me is been overused. I enjoy looking at art and art catalogs. I have a bunch of them. And then I bought this one. And this one has fold-outs. It has these big fold-outs. Let me see if I can get one of these. See, it has these fold-outs. This one catalog, contemporary art evening. I don't know what what these are really, but it's like modern art. So I got these, so I really like these. So I got these, and then I got one more. This is a big hunker, and this is on contemporary art. These are all from May, the year 2028. This one is I really like this one. It has a pop art in it, and it has things like this. It's just really nice. These are really nice. I really like these. Here's a photo of Andy Warhol and another painter. The other one is Andy Warhol and Joseph Basie. I don't know. I don't remember him. This is more like pop art. It has these big fold-outs. So anyway, I got these. I like contemporary art, pop art, abstract art, Impressionism, Dadaism, Surrealism, things like that. So these are the books I got recently. I did get an art book last time I was at the Book Nook. Was this one, Kandinsky's. This is his art. He's the father of modern abstract art. And this is like a biography of him, a retrospect. And he's kind of known for these kinds of paintings. This kind of, here's the cover. Here's a picture of him. So I like art books. I have tons of art books. I also like photography, and this book came into the Book Nook. I collect books on Native Americans or American Indians, and this was a very famous early photographer who did on American Indians, Edward S. Curtis. And this is his book, Sacred Legacy, Edward S. Curtis and the North American Indian. These are really great photos of Native American Indians or indigenous people. I really like photography books, especially early American photography. So I got this for my... And then I did get books... when that book came in the Book Nook just last week, there were other books on American Indians. I got this one, In the Hands of the Great Spirit, 20,000 Year History of American Indians by Jake Page. I collect books on American Indians. As you know, I collect books on the American West, the Southwest. This is, I got also The Sacred Pipe, Black Elk's account of the 7 rites of the Oglala, Sioux, and also there's 2 books in here. There's a Sacred Pipe in here, Black Elk's account of the 7 rites of the Oglala, Sioux, recorded and edited by Joseph Epes Brown. And then you have another second book in here, Black Elk, Holy Man of the Oglala, Lola, I can't pronounce it, but I have these books separate in my library. This is Black Elk Speaks by John G. Nallard, and then I have also Sacred Pipe, Black Elk's account of the 7 rites of the Oglala, Sioux. But now I have one in one volume. I also have Black Elk Speaks, being the life story of the holy man of Oglala, Sioux. I can't pronounce it anyway. This came out a couple of years ago, Black Elk. This is a biography, The Life of American Visionary by Joe Jackson. This is on Black Elk Speaks, a more authoritative biography. So I collect books on Black Elk Speaks. And so I got those. Also, this came into the book nook. This is Charlotte Bronte's The Professor. I didn't have this in my Charlotte Bronte collection, so I grabbed it. This is a third copy of this novel by Roberto Bolaño, 266. I have this in a big paperback, and then I have another edition of 3 separate books in a slipcover box set. But this is a hardcover. I want to read this, and this came into the book nook, and I just grabbed it. He was Roberto Bolaño's very famous Latin writer. He wrote The Romantic Dogs, Nazi Literature in America, The Savage Detectives, The Night in Chile, Distant Star. This was translated from the Spanish by Natasha Wimmer. So I got another copy of 266 by Bolaño. This is a biography by Edward W. Sead, Out of Place, a memoir. Sead. I collect his writings. He was a university professor of English and comparative literature at Columbia University. He's the author of 17 books, including Orientalism, which is his most famous book, covering Islam, peace and its discontents, the politics of dispossession, culture and imperialism. I have all his books over there, down there, but his memoir came into the book nook, and so I grabbed it. My wife told me how to pronounce this. Sead? I can't pronounce it. Anyway, I got that. And then this book came into the book nook, Brave Genius, the scientist and philosopher and their daring adventures from the French Resistance to the Nobel Prize by Jean B. Carroll. I got this from my Camus collection. This is a biography on Jacques Monod and Albert Camus, a dramatic story of how the hardship and courage unleashed creative genius. So I got this from my Camus collection, and it just looked really interesting. I came into the book nook, and so I grabbed it. This was a book that was damaged, and they were going to throw it away, but I collect books on the abstract painter, Southwest painter, George O'Keeffe. This is her letters, A Woman on Paper, the letters and memoir of a legendary friendship by Anita Pollitzer. Yeah, I have biographies on Georgia O'Keeffe and her husband, who was a very famous photographer. His name, he's in here, a picture of him, if I can find it. Yeah, here's a picture of him. His name was Alfred Stieglitz. I collect his biographies and his photography books too. So These books I got at thrift stores just last week. How to be a heroine, or what I've learned from reading too much, by Samantha Ellis. This is a literary memoir. This is a biography on the very famous jazz composer and artist Count Basie, an autobiography of Count Basie, as told by Albert Murray. It's called Good Morning Blues, an autobiography of Count Basie, but as told to Albert Murray. I used to have a novel by Albert Murray. He was an African-American writer, but I can't find it. I had this already, but I can't find it. But this is another copy I found at Goodwill last week. This is a book I found at Action House thrift store, Framing a Lost City, Science and Photography and the Making of Machu. I can't pronounce it either. My wife told me how to pronounce it. Mucho Amy Cox Hall. I know, it looked kind of interesting, and I have other books on that lost city. Machu Picchu, I can't pronounce it, but you know what I'm talking about. I found this at Bibles to Mexico, this novel by Graham Joyce, Dreamside. I have 4 or 5 other novels by Graham Joyce. He wrote Requiem and The Tooth Fairy, which I have, and I have other novels by him. And I found this one at Action House, The Storm Watcher, Dark Sister, House of Lost Dreams, Requiem, The Tooth Fairy. But I collect his writings. And this was a find. I found this at Action House. I collect these vintage contemporaries. This one is by Louis Nordan, Welcome to the Arrow Catcher Fair. I collect these. I really like the how they're the covers. They're very distinctive. They came out in the 80s. This one came out in '89. This came into the Book Nook. This is a nature writing memoir, A Land by Jacquetta Hawkes. A pioneering work of modern nature writing, a natural history of the author's beloved British Isles that inhabits a lush territory somewhere between science and poetry. There's a picture of her in the back. Can't pronounce her name. It was and I like nature writing, so it looked really interesting. So I bought that. I found this at a... Where did I find this at? Oh, this came into the Book Nook. I found this Friday. This is a Europea edition. I collect Europeas. And this one's by Damon Galgut, The Promise, a novel. This was the 2001 Booker Prize. So I got... He wrote several novels. I never really heard of him. But now I'm going to start looking for his novels. It has a quote by Edmund White. This is the most important book of the last 10 years. As you all know, I collect the writings of Edmund White. And I found this at Gateway Thrift Center by Neal Stephenson, science fiction fantasy, Seveneves, a novel. I have this in hardback over there on the table. I collect his writings, but they're very cumbersome hardbacks. This one you can put it into my saddlebag and carry it around and read. So I picked it up. People who are into sci-fi, science fiction, fantasy know who he is. He's a very famous science fiction fantasy writer. So those are the thrift store books. I also got this at the Book Nook. This came in. This is on The Woman and the Myth, Isabel Stewart Gardner. Isabel Stewart Gardner Museum is in Boston, and she's very famous. I have 2 biographies of her right here on the table. The Art of Scandal, The Life and Times of Isabel Stewart Gardner by Douglas Santucci. And then I have this other biography on her, Mrs. Jack, the biography of Isabel Stewart Gardner by Lewis Hall Thorpe. So this came in to the Book Nook along with this postcard of the museum, the what is it called? The Isabel Stewart Gardner Museum, Boston. So this came in. It was in the box in the Book Nook, and I grabbed it to go along with these 2 biographies on her life that I keep up here on the table. So yeah, that's what I got at thrift stores, the Book Nook. And like I said, today is, I don't know where my clock went. Oh, today is December the 4th, 2022. It's 9:36 in the morning. I'm down the Book Nook. This morning I've been reading Stephen Charnock, The Existence and Attributes of God on Spiritual Worship. I'm still reading those other books I showed you. I started reading last night before I went to bed, Lucia in London by E.F. Benson. I'm going to start reading this at night. I had finished these other ones I showed you by Benson. I did get a biography yesterday in the mail on E.F. Benson by, I can't remember, his last name was Masters. I got in the mail, but I showed you this. I read Queen Lucia last week before, and I had read Against Nature by this Norwegian writer, Tomas Ispetel. I can't pronounce his name. And I've been reading I Want to Keep Smashing Myself Until I'm Whole by Ellis Catani. Edited with an introduction by Joseph Cohen. So yeah, I'm gonna read. Apparently, in the sequence, there was a sequel of Lucia novels by E.F. Benson, and the one that came after Queen Lucia was this one, Lucia in London. I have a huge paperback with all the Lucia novels in it. It's in the back bookcase, but I found this at Grand Haven used bookstore, the cheap stacks, last summer, and so I grabbed it because it was a free book. So that's what I'm reading. That's what I collected for my library. You know, I'm into art books. I'm into this American Indians. I really like this book. I like the photography in it. It's just really nice photography. And it's a really nice book. I have another book of Edward S. Curtis's photography in another edition upstairs. But I really like these photos. So, and I like art books, and I like he has here in the back. So I'm always looking for good art books. So I hope you had a good reading week last week, that you have a good new reading week. This is a Sunday. We go into a new week, going in the month of December. This time of year, you think about the incarnation of the Son of God, Jesus Christ. So yeah, it's always been in my mind that the Lord was willing to come to this earth and humble himself and to die for our sins. And think of that passage in Philippians where Paul talks about the incarnation, the birth of the Messiah, there in Philippians chapter 2. He says, let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ Jesus, who being in the form of God did not consider it robbery to be equal with God, but made himself of no reputation, taking the form of a bondservant and coming the likeness of men. And being found in appearance as man, he humbled himself and became obedient to the point of death, even the death of the cross. Therefore God also has highly exalted him, given him a name which is above every name, that at the name of Jesus every knee should bow, that those in heaven and those on earth and those under the earth, and that every tongue should confess that Jesus Christ is Lord, to the glory of God the Father. So with that, I will close. I hope you have a good reading week. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for new subscribers. I hope I want to respond to all comments. If I've not commented, please forgive me. I'll look for more comments. Do thank you for the new subscribers. Do pray that you have a good reading week. And until next time, bye.